In his 1988 biography titled Tolstoy, A.N. Wilson, a British novelist and biographer, delves into the life of the renowned Russian author and activist, Leo Tolstoy. Wilson's narrative focuses on what he considers to be the driving forces behind Tolstoy's creativity, his intense self-awareness and his desire to continually reinvent himself through various characters. The biography received critical acclaim and won the prestigious 1988 Whitbread Prize for Biography. It has been hailed as the best Tolstoy life in English since Aylmer Maude's groundbreaking first-hand account and the most insightful analysis since George Steiner's Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. An essay in contrast, Kirkus Reviews. Wilson's account commences on March 25, 1850, a pivotal moment in Tolstoy's life when he was a 22-year-old nobleman burdened with dissipation and aimlessness. In a state of drunkenness, he sat down to write his first work of fiction titled A History of Yesterday, which bore a striking resemblance to Laurence Sterne's A Sentimental Journey, an English novel. The young Tolstoy never bothered to complete this early attempt at fiction. Although seemingly inconsequential, this moment marked the beginning of his career as an author. Throughout his life, Tolstoy was an avid diarist, and Wilson traces the evolution of his fiction writing back to the insights gained from his personal journals. While Tolstoy's diaries chronicled his frustrations and regrets, his fiction allowed him to imagine alternative paths and explore different versions of himself in both the past and the future, having been orphaned. At a young age, Tolstoy was raised by a succession of eccentric aunts, leading to a fragmented upbringing. Wilson emphasizes that Tolstoy spent his early years assuming various roles, constantly searching for an identity that resonated with him. In Kazan, he was a diligent law student, while in St. Petersburg, he embraced a fashionable lifestyle. In Moscow, he indulged in gambling, visited brothels, and succumbed to heavy drinking. On his family estates, he played the role of a country gentleman farmer. Throughout his life, Tolstoy's diaries reflect a profound self-criticism and an intense longing to take control of his existence and transform himself into a better individual. A.N. Wilson introduces the concept of Tolstoy possessing a unique gift, an extraordinary emotional sensitivity or sensibility that can be likened to perfect pitch, an inability to tolerate anything false or insincere. Wilson attributes the tumultuous nature of the novelist's early life, his insatiable sexual appetite, violent tendencies, lack of discipline, and overwhelming guilt and remorse to this innate sensibility. In essence, the history of this sensibility is a chaotic mess. Tolstoy's sensitivity caused him to feel isolated and exceptional. He once wrote, "Once for all, I must accustom myself to the idea that I am an exceptional being, one who is ahead of his time, and who, by temperament, is absurd, unsociable, and perpetually dissatisfied." He believed himself morally superior to any man he had ever encountered, always drawn towards goodness in every situation. Like himself, he believed no one else was willing to make the same sacrifices for their ideals. Consequently, Tolstoy struggled to find a sense of belonging in any social group. Wilson argues that Tolstoy's first completed work, Childhood, was the author's attempt to fabricate the childhood memories he wished he had, compensating for the void left by the traumas revealed in his diaries. Drawing from his own experiences as a novelist, Wilson traces how Tolstoy transforms his own encounters and longing for alternative experiences into art. When Tolstoy was 34 years old, he proposed to 18-year-old Sophia Behrs. He found her intriguingly strange, while she viewed him as monstrous and intimidating. Despite their differences, there was a strong sexual attraction between them. Tolstoy's desire for his bride was so overpowering that he insisted on a wedding within a week. However, before the wedding took place, he demanded that both he and Sophia should read each other's diaries to ensure complete transparency and eliminate any secrets between them. Tolstoy's diary contained explicit accounts of his sexual history, including visits to brothels, assaults on peasant women, and his curiosity about homosexuality. Sophia, his wife, was deeply affected by this revelation. A.N. Wilson describes their marriage as one of the most extensively documented and miserable unions in history. Sophia endured the birth of 7 children in 7 years, followed by 6 more children throughout their marriage, of whom only 8 survived. Tolstoy's selfish insistence on his rights to his wife's body had severe consequences, including a nearly fatal hemorrhage she suffered shortly after childbirth. However, Wilson does not solely blame Leo for the unhappiness in their relationship. Both Leo and Sophia were vile-tempered, narcissistic, moody, and excessively domineering individuals. Throughout their marriage, the Tolstoys continued to read each other's diaries. Wilson argues that Tolstoy's novels originated from his irresolvable conflicts with God, women, and Russia. While he acknowledges that Tolstoy's fiction is not strictly autobiographical, Wilson highlights the numerous connections between Tolstoy's life and his literary work. Characters such as Pierre Bezukhov, Nikolai Rostov, and Anna Karenina serve as opportunities for Tolstoy to explore his own inner struggles. According to Wilson, by the time Tolstoy completed his masterpieces War and Peace and Anna Karenina, he had consumed his entire life within his writing, resulting in a part of himself ceasing to exist. This, Wilson argues, explains Tolstoy's dramatic renunciation of fiction in favor of religion and activism. However, Wilson expresses little sympathy for this phase of Tolstoy's life, stating that without fiction to write, Tolstoy began creating a fictionalized version of himself. Wilson's harshest criticism is reserved for Tolstoy's religious conversion, as he sees it as a profound and searching critique of Christianity that ultimately fails to provide satisfactory answers. In addition to his Christian faith, Tolstoy advocated for nonviolence, vegetarianism, and sexual abstinence. Wilson portrays him as wasting his time in foolish attempts to emulate the lifestyle of the peasants. In one incident, Tolstoy dismisses his drunken swineherd, takes charge of the pigs himself, and improperly cures their hams, resulting in their rotting. Consumed by his growing obsession with renunciation, Tolstoy ultimately left his home and wife for good at the age of 82, departing early in the morning with only a few rubles to his name. However, his journey was cut short at a provincial railway station just 150 kilometers from his house, where Tolstoy passed away. His final words, directed to his son Sergei, were a declaration of his deep love for the truth. "I love truth very much. I love true." I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.